Today we're gonna try Menudo in a can. A little bit of an experiment for me. A friend said, hey, why don't you try Menudo? And I don't remember how it came up in conversation, but we ended up on canned Menudo, and I had multiple people tell me this can right here, the Juanita's Menudo, is actually pretty legit and a good representation of actual Menudo, like homemade, the closest you can get basically in a can. I confirmed that by looking up some reviews. Everybody pretty much agrees that this is a pretty solid version of Menudo, which I have never had. So that's basically where this video is going. Now, I've seen Menudo, I have smelled Menudo, I have not eaten Menudo. I have seen people eat it. I avoided it because, you know, the idea of the beef stomach lining kind of threw me off. But I want to, you know, I'm getting up there in age, you know. I feel a little bit older. I feel a little bit not wiser, but more open to trying things. So I wanted to try this Menudo, and this is the easy way to get it. You know, instead of going to an actual Mexican restaurant, of which there are dozens around me that probably have great Menudo, I went with the can because this is this channel. So I got this at Walmart. It was $5. Pretty simple in terms of ingredients. It's basically just beef broth, tripe, and hominy, which is, you know, basically corn, which is fine. Homony's good. And there's a bunch of seasonings, but otherwise it's fairly simple. There is a little bit of description here. Juanita's Menudo is made the same way homemade Menudo has been prepared for generations. Our family recipe starts with slowly simmering bone stock, then adding the highest quality ingredients to guarantee authentic home-style taste. Serve with oregano, chopped onions, and a squeeze of lime to bring the flavors of Mexico to your table. It's easy to prepare Juanita's Menudo and enjoy delicious home-style taste anytime and every time. Discover for yourself why Juanita's Menudo is #1 in the country. It's authentic. Savor the flavor of Mexico. That's all right there if you want to try and read that. I don't know if this is going to be good because the light is not great. But I noted the oregano, onion, and lime, and I have with me here, I have a nice onion, which I'll dice up, and I have some limes, which I'll squeeze some juice in, and I also have some not oregano. I have some cilantro in the fridge right now that I'm going to also put on top. Because pretty much everybody I asked that like I personally knew said that they use cilantro and not oregano. So I looked it up. Apparently it goes back and forth. Some people use both oregano and cilantro. Some people just use oregano. Some people just use cilantro. I opted for cilantro because I already know I like the taste of cilantro, and I'm not in the class. I know there's those people who can't eat cilantro because it tastes soapy, but I love the taste of cilantro already. So I figured that would be a good addition, and I wanted it to be as close as possible to the best experience I could get. So I got the onions, I got the lime, I got the cilantro. I got to chop that stuff up while this cooks in the in a pot on the stove, and then we'll try it. But I'm very interested to see how this turns out. This is a $5 can, which is maybe a little expensive, but considering, you know, it's kind of a specialty thing, not too bad. Hopefully it tastes good, and also it's got 25 ounces in it, so solid amount of Menudo in here. So I'm really hoping I like this. I'm trying to mentally work myself over the fact that it's cow stomach, because really it shouldn't matter. I mean, what difference does it make? There's plenty of things that people love, plenty of pieces of all the animals, you know. It just, you know, it's a loved soup, I guess. It's beloved by a lot of people for a reason, I would assume. So I'm just going to go in with a positive attitude and eat this Menudo after I cook it the best way I can with the onions, cilantro, and lime. So I'll be back with my Menudo and my fresh ingredients to top it off in a second. All right, I'm back. Menudo is cooked. Smells mostly like hominy. I'm not exactly sure how it's supposed to smell. Hopefully that's a good enough view for everybody. And then I've got, of course, my toppings. Got my cilantro, onion, and lime right there. Let me get a little spoon, show you kind of what it looks like. There's what it looks like. Mostly hominy in that bite. And then you got some beef right there. And then we have our fresh ingredients. I'm going to top it off. I'm not sure if you're supposed to mix it. I think mostly I see it topped off, but I assume you just top it off and then you mix it together. So I'm gonna put some onions and cilantro in here on top. Bip, boom, bam. I put a lot of, I didn't know how much to put, so I think that might be a lot of onion, but I honestly don't know. Cilantro, always a good garnish. I do actually have dried oregano, I found out, in my cupboard, but I'm gonna go with the cilantro because that's what people told me in person. Now online people say oregano and cilantro, but everybody in person told me cilantro is the way to go. And then a nice squirt of lime. I think a quarter of lime is probably the best amount, like a sliver. Juice, squeeze it out, make sure you get all the juice of the lime. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty when you're squeezing a lime or a lemon. Okay, just let it come out. And there we are. You can't really tell anymore, but whew, I'm trying not to psych myself out. It's no big deal. It's a food everybody eats all the time. I'm gonna mix it up as I just said. And try to get a nice spoonful with both tripe and some hominy and some onions and some cilantro. A good mixed bite. All right, let's do it. Well, I might have to blow on this a little bit. It's a little hot. See, I don't know why. I don't know why. It's no big deal. It's food. If I don't like it, I don't like it. Here we go. No, I'm really not sure. That tasted pretty good to me. It mostly tasted like lime juice, though. I'm gonna try to isolate a little bit of the tripe and get that one-on-one. See, I think my problem is, besides the mental aspect of it, it's the texture. It's a little bit chewy, which isn't necessarily my favorite texture in the world. But I think it goes good when you have the hominy with it, because the hominy is a little bit crunchy. So if you get a nice balanced bite, and then it kind of comes together. I mean, this soup really comes together. I can see why people like it. I don't necessarily understand. I mean, I get the tripe because it's like a cultural thing, as far as I know. When I was reading up on, see, I gotta chew it a lot to swallow it, but that since it's stomach, that menudo is kind of like a hangover thing, partially. And that, you know, they eat it after like weddings and events and stuff, and it's good for like hangover cures, and that's why they like the tripe, because it's stomach lining, and there's some kind of thing where they say, you know, it soaks the alcohol up, and it's a hangover kind of cure kind of thing, which is fine. That's not the purpose I'm having it for right now, but I think I can understand that. This has definitely got a strong taste. It's definitely a soup that I think would wake you up like in the morning if you were hungover, but you know, it's all, I don't know. I haven't grown up in that culture, so I don't know exactly. I think this, you know, maybe it could be, in my mind, in my opinion, better with a different cut of beef, but maybe not. Maybe you need the tripe to get the right flavor. Yeah, I think it's really only the texture that kind of throws me off. Otherwise, I actually really like the taste of this. And I think the onions and the cilantro were a good call, because you can taste them individually, and it really adds a lot. Then again, it's not as chewy as I thought it would be. I kind of thought it would be more chewy and more like jerky-ish, but it's really not. It's more kind of gelatinous, which is also not my favorite texture in the world, but not terrible when it's mixed like this. So I don't know. This is going to be a hard opinion for me. I mean, I guess I should be reviewing it because that's kind of the point of this channel. And I think if I was reviewing it, if I had this soup as it is, but the tripe wasn't in it, I might like it a little better. Just because the texture is really... It's just making every bite a little bit harder to process than it probably should be. But that's 100% mental. It's not really based on the actual taste of it, because it doesn't have a strong taste, really. It kind of blends in with the soup. It's just the texture of chewing a gelatinous piece of meat is a little bit throwing me off mentally, but the meat itself doesn't really have a strong taste necessarily. Honestly, the hominy has more of a taste that stands out. I more taste hominy and onions and cilantro than the meat. But the meat, there's a lot of meat in here, which I'll give them is probably, you know, a nice thing for most people who are buying this. But maybe not for me. I'd almost prefer a little bit less. I really like the broth, though. The broth is A+, 100%. So I know this is kind of a weird video, but I wanted to give this the proper taste and give my opinion on Juanita's canned menudo from somebody who's never had actual real menudo made by somebody. So again, I'll go over that. The soup itself is excellent. The broth, really good. The hominy, it works. I like adding the onions and cilantro. I feel like if I hadn't added the onion, lime, and cilantro, this would be a whole different video, and I probably would hate it. The onion, well, not hate it, but I probably would not like it as much without that, because you can really taste, the onions and the cilantro really add a lot. The lime juice added something, but the onion and the cilantro feel necessary, in my opinion. I don't know how this would go without it. I honestly don't know if I would even like it without it. I think it would be okay, but the onion, cilantro, and the lime, I think really elevate this. It's just the tripe that's throwing me off, and as I said many times throughout this video, I don't want to hold that really against it, because it's just mental in my head. Actually, physically tasting it right now, it's fine. It doesn't even really have a strong taste. It's just the gelatinous nature of the chewing that I dislike, and that could be a problem for many people. I know, you know, plenty of people that is a problem for, like myself, but I think it's something I could get over. Will I order menudo at a Mexican restaurant? Probably not. Will I get another can of this? I don't think so. But let's say I was at a friend's house and, you know, they were having menudo for dinner or something, which has happened when I was a teenager. I used to stay at my friend's house a lot. They'd have menudo sometimes. I always said no, but I think I would say yes. I think I'd be willing to give it a shot. I actually do really like the flavor of this. I honestly kind of wish Juanita's, there's different versions of the Juanitas as well. There's an extra spicy one. There's a like premium one with honeycomb tripe, which I guess is a thing. But I kind of wish they made one where they cooked it all and then they took the tripe out and it was just hominy and the broth. That would be excellent. I would buy that any day of the week, because I actually really like the broth a lot, and I like the hominy in it. It's just the tripe that's throwing me off, but again, I understand a lot of people like that. So this is a hard one. I don't know. Should I give it, I guess I'll give it a 4. I guess I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Maybe I'm not really qualified because I can't compare this against real menudo, but I am surprised by how tasty this broth is coming from a can. It might be one of the best soup broths I've ever had from a can. It's just the tripe that's really kind of an issue, But considering the fact that it was canned, it's surprising how well it held up. But you need the onions and cilantro and the lime to really make it. So that's my video. I don't know how interesting that really was, watching somebody try Menudo for the first time and struggle with tripe. Probably not very interesting, but I promised I'd make this after having a conversation with some friends. So there we go. Juanita's Menudo. I ate it. It's good. A little bit problematic with the tripe for me personally, but that's a mental thing, and I'm going to work myself out of it. And I'm going to eat this whole bowl. I promise. I will eat this whole bowl. It might take me a little bit, but I will eat it. And with that, I will see you all next time.